What's happening, guys? Steve here from Suarez Realty Group out in the Los Angeles San Gabriel Valley. I've got my tea in hand and I will read you what's on there in just a sec. But hey, listen, today I wanted to talk about equity. What is equity, right? So a lot of us I've had some people ask me, like, what can you do with it? How does it work? How do you figure that out? So I thought today I'd just kind of do a brief video about equity if you're a homeowner, and that's great. And if you're thinking about becoming a homeowner, how that can play to your advantage. All right. So grab a cup of coffee or a tea, and let me just read you this quote here on the tea. It says, serve all in truth, in compassion, and in grace. That's right. So, amen. Grab a cup of coffee or a tea, and let's get started. So in the simplest terms, your home equity is the difference between how much your home is worth and how much you owe on your mortgage. So let me give you an example of how that is, right? So say you buy a house for, we'll just say 200,000, and yes, we're in Southern California and that's probably not gonna happen. And let's just say you put 10% down, which is gonna be $20,000, right? So, now, so your home loan is actually the loan that you're actually going to get is $180,000. So you're automatically creating $20,000 in equity. Now, let's just say we're about 2 years into owning the house. You've been making your payments. Everything's going great. You know, you've done some remodeling and whatnot, and so on and so on. So 2 years have gone by. You've been making your payments. Now you owe $170,000 on that mortgage. And the home value jumped up to about 210K, okay, let's just say. So you're gonna take 210 minus the 170. Now you've created about $40,000 in home equity. So in just basically in that terms, in that example, you're paying down the loan, which is creating equity, and the value of the home is going up at the same time. So that's how you're creating the equity there. So to determine the equity, you're gonna actually have to know the value of your home. And in order to do that, at any one time, you're gonna need to know the value of your home. And that's when you're gonna go reach out to a real estate appraiser who actually does this for a living. They're gonna come in, they're biased. They come in and they're gonna evaluate the home. And they're going to take a lot of things into consideration when they do that. The curb appeal, maybe what's been done to the house. They're going to do maybe a comparison of houses in the neighborhood. And they're going to be the ones that are actually going to give you the best value for the home, right? So this is something that you can do on your own. You can hire an appraiser on your own. Or if you're going to do some sort of loans, the banks are actually going to send an appraiser of their own to kind of value what the house might be worth. So that's one way to determine the value of your home. The other way would be to maybe reach out to a real estate agent. And actually at this point, I would say maybe reach out to several real estate agents, and that way they can all do a comparable analysis of the area of your home, and they can kind of give you an idea of what the value of your home is going to be worth as well too. So, and just over time, it's going to go up as well too. So that's one way to do it. So how are you going to build equity, right? So building equity would be one way to do it. I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on how to do this. So one way to do it would be to pay down your payments, right? To make payments on time, to pay down the loan and stuff. Another way would be to pay off the home. Once you pay off the home, it's just going to have all that equity in it, and as time goes on, you're going to build more equity in that. I always advise to try to pay more than your minimum. So if that's $50, $100, whatever you can do to pay down that mortgage, it's going to create more equity in the home as well. Another way would be to stay in the house a little longer than 5 years. The longer you stay in it, the more equity it's building. And of course, that also depends on the market and what's going on too with real estate at the time, really. But the longer you stay in, the longer you ride that roller coaster, and more than likely you're going to build equity. It's very rare that you're not going to build equity, and it also depends on the area that you're in and what part of the country you're in as well too. Right now we're in Southern California. Obviously we know in the East Coast and the West Coast, the equity in the homes go a lot higher than they would do in the Midwest or the mid part of the country and stuff. So, and then one other thing would be to renovate. You know, the longer you stay in a home, the more likely you're going to renovate the kitchen, the bathrooms, the living rooms, and so on, and the curb appeal. You know, if you're keeping it maintained, you're actually going to build a little bit more curb appeal, and that goes a long way. So those are some of the steps that you're going to want to take to build equity on your own. Like I said, some of us call it sweat equity. You come in, you renovate it on your own. Right off the bat, that's great. So whatever you do, some of those steps will help you out to build equity. Okay.